Richard is the Senior Digital Producer, All in Media Experience Australia.
Thanks, everyone. Amazing work, Alex. I really enjoyed that, and I come from the space of apps as well. So some of what I'm sharing today is some of the secret sauce around what radio apps can provide you. And I think today I also want to acknowledge those watching online as well. We haven't forgotten about you. But anyway, a quick introduction. My name is Richard Phelps. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and I work for a company called All in Media. And today I'm going to have a look at some of the secret sauce that sits inside radio apps which can help you with your digital strategy. All in Media is part of Xperi Corporation. As you can see, our broadcast technologies includes a number of products for broadcasters. And as part of that today, I'm going to focus on the AIM radio apps. Since 2007, we've built apps for over 3,000 stations, and we've provided mobile and broadcast solutions for more than 8,500 stations around the world. Alex mentioned that they used to have station apps for each one of their stations. At one point, we developed those apps, and so it's quite heartening to see that Media Prima have really consolidated their efforts into a premium product. That's amazing. So this is one of the reasons why we develop these apps. We develop premium apps that are designed for millions of daily users, and that's the basis for a lot of the insights that I'm here today to share with you. There's some key factors that make a good app great. Station apps will help you meet your business objectives. They will create a unique audience experience. Alex just gave a great example of some of the things that Media Prima do to create great audience experiences. A great app will simplify complexity. It's got to be intuitive, and it's got to be easy to use. As an organization, it's really important that your app plays to your strengths. So it will take time to grow your audience, but if you play to your strengths, that journey becomes a little easier for you to increase consumption. And also, one of the real key things, and it was really also nice to see Alex share that analytics is really a key important part of having a great app, and collecting only meaningful analytics, something that your business can actually take away. So that will help you meet your objectives as well. Edison Research in Australia earlier this year reported that a station app is the #1 source for online listening. So it's encouraging to see that for some broadcasters around the world, that's also the case. They overtook the station website, a third-party app, or a smart speaker. So where the user goes, you go. Station apps are always in the hands of your audience thanks to their smartphone, and a number of my clients are now reporting that the station apps is the #1 source for podcast consumption as well. So there's no doubt the station apps are loved by your P1 audience. They're using station apps more than ever before. Some of the top features in radio apps that drive consumption are, drumroll, a live stream, because we know that people aren't really buying radios anymore. I'm really shocked to see in some electronics retailers that there's a stand for all the smart speakers and all the cool gadgets, and then radios in the corner and not one of them are plugged in. So how on earth are you going to be enticed to buy one? So instead we go to the sexy new at radio apps and smart speakers. So in your app, a live stream is absolutely critical. Podcasts and the ability to favorite or subscribe to the podcast will drive consumption, as will notifications to alert users that their favorite podcast has just released a new episode. That will get the user back into the app and get them listening. A logged-in experience lets stations personalize app experiences, and it results in more time spent listening. That's increasing consumption. And listening on their favorite devices. So a cast-enabled device, in-car with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, puts your radio station in the places where people want to listen to them. Another interesting one is the convenience of listening to a news bulletin. Now, often we might just miss the top of our news or a break where a news item comes. So having a news bulletin inside your app will let people actually enjoy that in their own time and often play it more than once. and being able to do smart sharing of content from the app, so I could go and share something I like to Steve over there, and he can click on it and then listen to it. So it's amplifying your content to new users. And currently, these trends here are on the rise as app usage hits record highs and becomes a part of people's daily routines. Secondary channels, mood channels, Christmas stations, things like that. A station app is also a great environment to launch exclusive podcasts and also test new podcast content. A logged-in user will allow consumption habits to form, and that will generate recommendations. And quite interestingly, some stations are starting to use AI to power a recommendations engine. And as radio groups invest in audio, search becomes a critical tool to find topics of interest. So all of these things are quite popular and quite critical. If you're rolling out an app tomorrow, for example, you need to double check that you've got these things because they are high value features. These trends are showing a change in the times. I'll quickly fly through these because I don't really want to dwell too much on the past, but designing for iPad or Android tablet, usage is so low now. Over 95% of station app users actually have a smartphone, not a tablet. Podcasting apps have playback speed control. We're not seeing that translate into radio apps. People don't want to listen to a podcast really fast or really slow. So I'm not sure why, but that's just a trend. We've moved to tap to play, so no more kind of downloading first and then listening. We've kind of moved to that more streaming model. So functions like offline mode and airplane mode seem to be affected by that as we've transitioned away from downloading. And there's been very little interest by users and broadcasters to support wearables. I was also asked what not to do, and unfortunately I can't answer that, but what I can do is offer you some tips here. With your app, too many features can actually make the app confusing and will actually fragment your user base. So often this happens as a result of like who shouts loudest gets what they want. That's a bad strategy for an app. The next one is when you iterate an app or you have ambitious ideas, this is good. Just be careful not to bury your most valuable content. So if you don't meet your users' expectations, roll it back. A lean forward experience versus a lean back experience. I'll just quickly touch on that. So lean forward is really you have to be looking at it or kind of engaging with it in some way to fully experience it. Whereas lean back is what audio does so well. You can press play and then go and do something whilst you're listening. So most users listen to audio with the app in the background whilst they're scrolling socials or checking their emails or something like that. It's a pretty easy user story just to go and find something to listen to, press play, and then scroll your Instagram feed or check out the radio station socials. So this helps understand where the value lies when it comes to return on investment. So if you know that your user is actually listening in the background, then why would you serve them a display ad, for example? So ideally, don't try and mix too many of these lean forward, lean back experiences into the same app. And your app should be consistent with your strengths as an organization and your users' experiences, so your user expectations. If you're a news channel, nail news, do news really well. I think this will help set the ground rules as a business to evaluate your app strategy, your KPIs, and your return on investment. Of course, apps can be feature-rich as well. There's a great story about the app that had everything. It had the kitchen sink. Some apps also, of course, extend onto other platforms, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in the car, voice platforms and smart speaker support with Alexa, Siri, and Google. Another interesting story I was chatting with someone about this morning was Sonos and Cast and AirPlay and Bluetooth speakers. These are really simple user stories, and people will often be gifted a Bluetooth speaker for Father's Day, or they've got a Sonos, or they've put something in a particular place in the house. Now, this is where a radio used to be, so these are real special places. So for an app just to be able to send audio to that is a really welcome return, I think, of your station to these spaces that was formerly occupied by a radio and replaced by something else. And smart TV apps as well, as we've seen, I've noticed in this region, there are some analytics that actually support that TV is a great place to listen to radio as well. So supporting some smart TV apps is a great option too. So apps can provide a lot of options for your business. There's a long list of features, but not all radio groups actually have the ability or even the desire to get into software development. Some do, some don't. So the option of a turnkey app can actually take you to market with all the features you need within days, not months. It's also important to keep an eye on the future too. I'm almost done here. The rise of smart speaker ownership can't be ignored anymore because radio listening is right at the top of what gets asked on smart speakers. So integrating with Amazon and Google, Apple and Sonos is a key opportunity for you to consider. Validation, curation and enrichment of metadata creates new opportunities. So licensed metadata actually allows you to bring richer and deeper world-class experiences to market. Song lyrics is one example, alternate album covers is another, but that's just scratching the surface. And the final one is radio in the connected car. So think about that. When a car has its own data connection, the radio experience is suddenly enhanced with a layer from the internet that can enrich that experience in a really engaging way. It really comes to life. So all of these things unlock more opportunities to increase consumption and create amazing experiences for your audiences. I could talk about radio apps all day. Unfortunately, I don't have all day. I just gave you 39 pointers just there for your app strategy, your secret sauce. But come and see me if you want to have another 57, because I've got quite a few. And as I say, I could take all day to do that. Thanks very much for the opportunity to Radio Days for me to be here and share these insights with you today.